Hello, and welcome to the Love Your Work Life podcast. I'm your host, Elissa Shuck. Whether you're going for that next promotion, looking for a job, or making a career pivot, I'll teach you how to navigate it all so you can have the career you want.
This is episode 59, and if you're wondering about the title, Thoughts on Journey, and the rock band came to mind, you are in the right place. Because I am going to talk about journey, not windows down, wind in your hair, fingertips pounding on the steering wheel experience of journey. Although that's a good one, right? If you're like me, that's exactly how you listen to this band. I am going to find some parallels, though, between journey and your career. And in micro, of course, your job search, right? Because those are the things we talk about. Don't think I'm crazy, but as I started to look at journey titles in my journey list of music on my phone, some titles really stood out as being part of the career journey. Let's talk about a few of those. Separate ways. And isn't it interesting? They always have in parentheses worlds apart. And I started thinking about this, and yes, there comes a time in your career, whether you choose it or your company chooses it, that you go your separate ways. And sometimes maybe it's because you feel worlds apart. Did that company's culture change when a new leader came in? It's happened to me. I have some very specific thoughts on that one. But when you're in this place where suddenly you know it's time to go your separate way, it's time to chart a new course on that career journey, it can feel a little exhilarating, but it can also feel a little intimidating and a little bit painful too, right? When you realize that this just isn't working anymore. And you know I'm all about having great thoughts and having thoughts that serve you. But when you decide something isn't working, pay attention to the feelings that thought is generating. Is the thought that it's time to go your separate ways, or the thought that you're worlds apart here, something that ignites a new idea and a feeling of anticipation? Or does it feel discouraging and deflating? There's no right or wrong here. Our feelings are our feelings. Just know that the thoughts you have are creating feelings for you, and in that moment, you will take some kind of action. And listen, if you need to step back and regroup, then step back and regroup, right? How about some of these other job titles? I'll be all right without you. I love that one, because when you decide to leave a role or leave a company and you realize that, you know what? I'll be all right. I have something here. I have value. I have skills. Everything I've done so far in my career is accumulated value for the next thing that I want. Now, I grouped 3 song titles together, actually. I'll Be All Right Without You, Who's Crying Now, and After the Fall. Because I oftentimes think when we have that reality check, that we're going through a lot of different emotions. We've got the feelings that I'll be all right. We've got the feeling of crying, and maybe even a little bit of who's crying now, like, hey, you're missing out on having me on your team. This is going to be painful for you. I've had those thoughts as well. Again, These are just thoughts. These are just stories. And giving yourself the space to be in the moment and have the thoughts you're going to have is fine. The key is not overindulging in any particular thought, especially if it takes you down a discouraging path that will ultimately keep you from taking the action you need to take, right? After the fall, man, that one is heavy. When you have your job taken away from you, that feels like failure, even though it's not really failure. It feels like a fall, and it feels like something was lost. Again, these are normal things that you're going to experience. So whenever you are experiencing things in your career and in your job search, I want you to first and foremost give yourself permission to feel the feels and process the feelings. Many times we go into action mode. We take action immediately because that's a very clever way of our brains avoiding the feelings. But if you don't address all those feelings, there's a good chance you'll be carrying those into your interviews with you. And an interview where you are carrying some baggage of feeling discouraged or feeling betrayed, that is not an energy you want going in with you to your job search or your interviews, because you won't be seeing the opportunities that are available to you. And that kind of energy of betrayal and discouragement is a distraction for the people interviewing you. So realize that you're going to be all right, even after the fall. And next job title, be good to yourself. This is when you start to realize that you have a career story that is valuable. You have experiences and strengths and results that you've created in the past that you will create again. Being good to yourself means giving yourself the space to process, as I just mentioned, but being good to yourself also means not overemphasizing your past, but realizing that you have a good future in front of you. Acknowledging that your skills, your strengths, your abilities, your value travels with you. Your value is on your journey with you. Nothing is wasted. If that job was a little bit of a detour, that's okay. It is not wasted time on your journey. There is value in there. There are resources that you have access to because of that detour that you didn't have before. Resources that you didn't have before. So please get to the place where you're good to yourself. And the next one I think that happens after that, after you've processed all this and you've decided that you are worthy and you're good enough just the way you are, you slip into the wheel in the sky. What's the lyric? Wheel in the sky keeps on turning. You don't know where you're going to be tomorrow. That's okay, because there are seasons to the journey of a career. And just because you don't know doesn't mean that the unknown is a bad thing. Processing uncertainty and being able to navigate the dissonance, being comfortable with discomfort, that's what this ever-turning wheel is all about. It's acknowledging that things are always moving forward, no matter what we might be going through, and that good is coming. This is part of that wheel. Now, how does this play into a career journey in the more conventional sense that we think of a journey? When you look at your career like this, there's a couple of images that come to mind. One of them is a road trip, and the other one is a river. Either way, you will come across the unexpected. What I love about the road trip imagery is the best road trips are when you kind of expect the unexpected and you're going in curious. Curiosity, as I mentioned frequently, is such a good place to be in your career and in your job search. Because when you're curious, you have to be looking forward. You can be a little bit curious about the past from the framework of how does it inform your future. It's always forward looking. So when you think about your past, you know you're thinking about it curiously because you're looking for those clues. You're looking for those common threads about what it means for your future, how you can leverage that, right? And the unexpected, maybe there's a really cool landmark that you stop at along the road. Like, isn't there some crazy things like the big giant ball of string, right? You're down the road. There's a landmark. Why not stop? Why not find those little moments to appreciate? Same thing on the road trip journey of your career. Look for the little things to appreciate, even if they came up suddenly, even if they were unexpected. Now the river. Love the image of a river when it comes to your career journey. And here's why. Because you can control some things about traveling down the river, about floating down the river, but there's always an element that's out of your control. You can paddle, you can put your hands in the water, you can do a lot of things to scoot around here and there, but that current is always taking you someplace that you can't control, right? There's a flow to it. What a beautiful way to think about a career, that there's this ebb and flow that is out of your control on one level, but that you're able to navigate on another level. This reminds me of something I had no idea that I would think about as being a bucket list thing for me, because I'm not really a water person. But I was part of an organization and we had a management team day where we went rafting down the Deschutes River in Oregon. This was not something I wanted to do, but I was part of a team, I'm a team player, and there was a little bit of peer pressure, I'll admit that too, but man, until the very last moment, I was absolutely considering hanging out on the shore of the river, on the side of the river, and not going in, just not. Because I didn't want to be part of the craziness and dumping water on other people and trying to flip each other's boats over. That's not my thing. Fortunately, I found a group of like-minded people, and we were just interested in enjoying the river, going down it, getting away from the party people, and having our moment, as scared as we all were, to go down this river. And I'll tell you, there are things about the river that are unexpected. I didn't know when the rapids were going to come along. I didn't know the smooth parts from the rippling parts and the way that current, where it was going to take us and how that was going to end up. But I'll tell you, I look back on that and I think, I am so glad that I got in that raft. I'm so glad that I participated. And the best thing about it, honestly, was the guide. The guide who was at the back of the raft telling us, when I tell you to paddle, you paddle. When I tell you to paddle fast, you paddle fast. And the guide got us through. And because we had a guide, that experience was so much better. We could be afraid and at the same time have this certain level of trust that everything was going to be okay. It's so good. And I'll leave you with this. When it comes to a career and it comes to Journey, the band, and these rivers and road trips and travels that we take on our career, well, the anthem that, of course, we have to mention last is Don't Stop Believin'. Hold on to that feeling. You know that your thoughts create feelings that drive action and ultimately help you create the future that you are envisioning for yourself. And a belief is just a thought you keep on thinking. So find the good ones. Think them over and over. Let that inform your feelings so that you can keep moving forward, that you can chart a course, but not get freaked out with the detours and the currents and the rocks in the road or the boulders in the river. You can navigate it all. And you know I'm here to help you. You wouldn't be listening if you didn't. So don't stop believing. Find your anthems that inform your career, that inform your journey, and I will talk to you next time. If you like listening to this podcast, and you are going to love my program, Job Search Field Guide. This is a unique opportunity. I offer group coaching alongside a 5-step process to help you land a job quickly. So I hope you will join me in Job Search Field Guide. This is going to be revolutionary to your career journey and your job search, and you get lifetime access. So find it at elissashuck-careercoach.com, and I will see you there.